Hi everybody, welcome to Module 3. In this module, we're going to be looking at the term self-determination and looking at self-advocacy and how we can apply it to our own teaching practices. We're going to look at key resources, both behavior and academic, to support students who are transition age. And there are some great articles that I'd like you to look at and discuss in discussion board and in your advanced organizer on self-determination. In addition, you're going to be looking at your role in supporting students as they transition through puberty. So the module has both an advanced organizer and a discussion board, and we're working on a new discussion board post in this module. So I'm going to look at the resources first, and then we'll open up the advanced organizer together. There are some fantastic resources put together by Vanderbilt's Kennedy Center that all focus on transition and are meant for students with disabilities. There's a direct link to the resources, but I've also uploaded the PDFs here. There's a boys version and a girls version for you to share. They are phenomenal. There are also a ton, as you can see, of great articles that I've uploaded for you. I recommend that you go ahead and kind of set up a folder or a system within your organizational world where you kind of hang on to great transition articles. These are all peer-reviewed. Many of them are from Teaching Exceptional Children, which is from the Council for Exceptional Children. So that's our premier organization. But all of these peer-reviewed articles are fantastic to help you support students as they transition, whether you're looking at it from the angle of a teacher, someone working with parents, helping students advocate for themselves. These articles are some of the key articles that you'll need to hang on to. So I've uploaded them in two different sets here for you to look at. Some of them you'll be using for your discussion board, some of them you'll be using in the advanced organizers. There's more than you will need to discuss, but I wanted to give you a lot of choices so that you could pick ones that meant the most to you. So let's talk about discussion board this week. You're going to be kind of talking together about transition services, what self-determination means, self-advocacy, and how we see ourselves in IEP meetings and how we help students advocate for themselves in IEP meetings. We're also going to look a little bit at vocational and life skills assessment through our readings in our textbook. So what I'd like you to do is kind of develop a working plan. This by no means means a 20-page document. This means some really organized bullet points, really. But that working plan that you would have that you could immediately implement to support students who are transitioning to adulthood and adult services, whether that's university, whether that's a job, a tech center, or whether they are going to go to a sheltered workshop, whether they're going to be primarily based at home, depending on their disability. What do we need to do to support those students? So your initial plan or your initial post, I'm looking for some really good, clear bullet points, and I'd like you to divide them up. So you'll need subheads in your initial post. And the first subhead should focus on academic or vocational skills. And your posts should specifically deal with very actionable items. What I'll teach, what I'll do. So you might say, based on my current class, I definitely want to teach self-advocacy skills by making sure my students understand their data from IEP meetings. I definitely want to make sure all students are able to pick healthy food choices. But talk about those academic skills, those life skills come next, and that's where your healthy food choices go. Sorry, not up here with vocational skills. You definitely want to know what jobs your student wants. That's for your vocational parts. And be specific. I know that I will make sure that I complete a career inventory and help my student understand realistic expectations. One meeting that I had with a very fantastic and dynamic female student, her top career choice was to be a model, and she also wanted to host a game show. So we looked at her career expectations based on her current skills and kind of helped to guide her in a path that was appropriate for her. Even though her interests when she started were very different than what we ended up with. So make sure you're coaching students appropriately. You want to look at life skills, so activities of daily living, self-help skills, what your students need to be successful at, and then some very specific points that you're going to use to help support families at IEP meetings. These can include links to websites that you feel like are really great to share, any resources that you feel like are must-haves, like the resources from Vanderbilt for puberty, but you're sharing that in this initial post. If you want to go ahead and start replying to peers this week, that would be phenomenal. Or if you realize you've left some things out and want to add those, you can definitely reply to your own post. But we're focusing on those resources and to-do list that will help us be effective teachers in the field immediately. So let's look at that advanced organizer and kind of see where we're headed. Definitely focusing on that topic of self-determination. There's an article from greatschools.org that I'd like you to read first and talk about things you could share with families. As you look at chapter 4, you're going to be focusing on self-determination and self-advocacy and defining those so that you have a clear understanding. And then in chapter 5, you're going to look at behavior and academic assessments that you might be using and look at the model that they have in the textbook, how that might really help a family member understand transition. In addition, I've shown you some great articles that are in Blackboard, so I'd like you to pick 4 and just kind of sum up what you've learned. In this article, make sure you tell me what article you looked at. I learned great things about helping parents understand transition. In the second article I chose, I looked at ways students can advocate for themselves. And here are some tips I'm going to move forward with. So summarize at least 4 articles that you've looked at, and then head back into KDE's website. This is such a rich website. We'll be looking at it almost every module. I want you to look specifically at information that will help you in an IEP meeting, and as Kentuckians call them, ARC meetings. And also look at how you could share some information with families. So pull a link that you found really helpful and then say, this is how I would share it with families. Link number 2, this is how I would share it with the student and families. If there's other things you want to remember, you can definitely capture them here. At the end of the course, you'll be saving all of your advanced organizers in your live binder, which is going to be a digital kind of capturing tool for all that you've learned. So, definitely if there are things you want to remember, you can capture them here and put them in your live binder. You're also going to kind of sum up what you learned about teenage boys and girls and what you can tell them about puberty right here. And if you've still got questions, please let me know. Happy learning in Module 3. I can't wait to converse with you in discussion board.